Hello, everyone. So we're still waiting for a few more senators to filter in. So let's just chat. Let's chat on our last Senate meeting of the year. Let's talk about it. Any good memories? Anyone?
Do you guys remember when Dakota told us all to wear green on St. Patrick's Day and then he did?
I'm never going to live that one down. Alicia, you were after me that day, and it was great. It was good. That was funny. That was a good time. But, man.
I was going to talk to him smack. I was going to talk smack to Dakota right now because I thought he wasn't wearing any Western stuff, but he is wearing a Western hat. So.
This is the only piece of Western apparel I own, and it was a Christmas gift given to me in 2016. I have yet to gain any more. Okay. Let's see. Still waiting. We'll wait. We will wait as long as it takes, even if it's painfully long. We can start playing Kahoot. Find one. We wait.
Henry, if this is going to be your wedding song, I'm sorry, but you're not getting married.
Okay.
That should be enough for quorum. Those who came in. So we're gonna start right now. Oh, could I get? Oh wait, someone else is sharing. Okay, cool. Thank you. All right, me. I'm here. Secretary Gonzalez is absent. Senator Smith. Senator Smith, was that affirmative? I didn't. All I heard was a noise. I don't know if that was Miller Holcomb. Senator Miller Holcomb.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Fitzsimmons.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Pastor.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Matumbo's not here. Senator Lewis.
Present.
Thank you. Senator Doris.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Meldrum Roy.
No. Here.
Thank you. Senator Ewing.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Sanchez. Senator Sanchez. Senator Taylor.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Griggs isn't here. Senator DeMarco.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Tamang. Senator Tamang. Senator Busal Chetri. Senator Busal Chetri. Senator Byrne. Senator Byrne. Senator Leinhard. Senator Leinhard. Oh, hang on, chat message. See if I got anything. Okay, no. Senator Shafaya.
Here.
Thank you. That's quorum, everyone. We have gotten just enough. So, oh, and I see we have another senator coming right on in, so we'll add them there. All right, we'll start today's agenda. See the minutes for our positional reports. Notes for me. So the only note is that this is the last time I will address you as the chair of the 2020-2021 Senate. This will also be the last time this session of Senate will meet by itself. We've had a very interesting year together, and I want to start off this meeting by saying thank you. Despite having to perform in an online environment, never meeting in person, and having changed leadership more than a juggler changes balls, you have succeeded in your duties and have generated wonderful results for the students of this university. To name a few pieces of legislation that have passed, the Sunshine Bill, which extended the practice of live streaming WSA meetings indefinitely, the Election Holiday Bill, which called for the university to make all federal and state general elections on campus or a campus-wide holiday for students and faculty. The Audio Equipment Bill, which bought audio equipment for RSOs to rent and use free of charge out of the Bernhard Center. The Menstrual Product Tax Bill, which called for the WSA and the university to support all legislation that eliminates all tax on menstrual products. Along with those senator-led pieces of legislation, this Senate has passed other pieces that have created a walkway near the Valley Dining Center, provided cost-free snowshoes for traversing Asylum Lake in the winter, set a continuance of the Legacy newsletter, and much more. Thanks to the pushing and work of this organization, the university even put a COVID-19 impact statement, whether or not we pushed them to do that, I'm going to say we did, on every student's fall 2020 transcript. All of these achievements are yours to feel proud of. I'm certainly not one for long-winded speeches, so I will come to a close here. As we all go off on our separate ways, some of us remain in the WSA, some of us to leave, and some of us to graduate. Remember your time this year. This Senate has endured so much, and in my opinion, has been the greatest session of Senate to ever exist within the Western Student Association. Of course, this is my first year, so as far as I'm concerned, it is the best. I will never forget my first year within the WSA and all the memories and friends I have made from it. For those who are leaving the Senate for good, I want to thank you for your service to this organization and the students you have supported. For those who will remain, I cannot wait to see what you bring to the Western Student Association and to Western Michigan University. It has been my honor to work with all of you, and I'd like to thank you all for letting me be your speaker. And with that, I close my little speech there, but I wanted to have a little speech at the beginning, considering this is our last meeting. So, our last Senate meeting. We have one next week. Come to that one, but last one for just Senate. That said, let me open up our agenda. Thank you guys for, thank you. It's been a great year to be here with all of you. Really has made my first year being a transfer student to Western great. So, next we have is the speaker election, which I sent an email out to the incoming senators. So next week at the joint session, both new and old senators will vote on the candidates for the next year's Senate speaker. That will happen sometime during next week's meeting. But yeah, so just gonna give everyone that information. That said, that's all I have to say about speaker election. Other than those of you who are reelected to Senate positions, you are You can run for a speaker position or for the speaker position. You just have to email me so I get you on the list. That said, we'll move into the election update from Vice President Ruby Eagle, if she is here. Is she here? Or someone who can give a
She was working with Ashley. Is Ashley Murray here? I don't see Ashley. I know I had heard from Ruby that she had another commitment. I am checking my texts and I don't see anything from them. If you want to keep moving, you can. We come back to it. I can give the update, or however you want to handle it.
Okay. We will move on then to approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Thank you. Consent.
Consent.
Is there opposition? Not hearing any or seeing any, we'll go into approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion for that?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
The minutes.
Consent. Consent.
Consent.
Opposition? Hearing none, seeing none. We'll move on to our first guest speaker. That is Devin Willis, here to talk about Juneteenth. So, Devin, you have the floor.
Okay, so correction, I am Miss Devin Willis, not Mr. So yeah, I wanted to take some time to, do I have privilege to share? Like, am I able to do that?
You should be able to, yes.
Okay, so yeah, I wanted to, let me figure out which screen, there we go. Joined to talk a little bit about an initiative from an organization which I am involved. I'm a little slow with tech. Wait, go back. I wasn't ready to do that yet. Okay, I'll just leave it here. I'm not the best with technology, so this may be a little rocky. All right, well, I guess just starting with the introduction of myself. How do I? Oh, look at that. Starting with the introduction of myself. So I'm Devin Willis. I am a second-year doctoral student in the counseling psychology program, which is in the counselor education, counseling psychology counselor education department. So we recently began a pro-Black collective committee. A little backstory is we, as an organization, responded to President Montgomery's call to action last summer. After the death of George Floyd, had a meeting with administration about our letter, probably around September or so, and that's where the idea to create a new university holiday, being Juneteenth, and have that added to the academic calendar. So that was where it was first introduced to administration. The folks that were involved in that meeting included President Montgomery, Dr. Vanderclay, Dr. Bott, Anderson, and Dr. McCorkle, along with a couple of students from our org and sociology's graduate RSO. So basically, we created the Pro-Black Collective Committee to stay focused essentially and work on tasks to continue the uplifting of Black students on our campus. So as you're looking over the mission statement, just a little bit more information, or I guess to consolidate a bit. Basically, under our org, the goal is to, as I said, uplift the Black community at Western. We're looking for opportunities to not only educate and learn about the unique history, oppression, and things like that, but also create opportunities for celebration. So we think Juneteenth is one way to, I guess, encompass that mission. There's going to be that educational piece, and there's actually also going to be like that celebratory piece. So that's a little bit about our committee. Moving into more of a purpose statement, which actually what I want to do is copy something into the chat. Where's the chat? Okay, so I'm going to copy a link into the chat, which I hope it turns into a hyperlink. If it didn't work, instead of wasting time, I'll just work on sending that separately. But essentially that document will take you through our one-page proposal, which essentially expands on what I'm talking about today. So basically, coming to the purpose of this, so things that we had in mind was the DMAP, the goal for inclusivity, being more intentional about that inclusivity, and decreasing counterproductivity. So a little bit more about that is basically can someone confirm or deny if that was sent as a hyperlink?
It did not.
It did not.
It did not. Okay. So essentially, when we get that to you, basically when you see the document, it will be, you will see about 3 hyperlinks in the document. One will take you to the DMAP, which will be just that strategic plan page, where basically what we want you to focus on those 6 steps of the DMAP. Another hyperlink will take you to the site for institutional research, where you can kind of look at the disparities in terms of retention, those things, and you can look at it by race. And the third will take you to a document with other universities who have actually added Juneteenth to their calendar since summer of 2020. So moving forward, essentially, that is the purpose of our proposal, with getting it to be an official holiday, and we want it to be reflected visibly on the calendar. So getting more into specific goals. So again, as mentioned, we want to see it on the calendar. The goal is 2021. We have been talking about this for quite a while. Just to update, I have met with several individuals, including the faculty union, negotiations, WMU's negotiation in general, several people. I guess I don't need to list them all, but essentially administration knows, and the people that have the power to make this happen are aware. So getting more into the goals, we hope that it is an opportunity for the entire campus community to be engaged in education on Juneteenth, even if we don't have classes. Why don't we have classes? Because of Juneteenth. Oh, what's that? Sort of that type of thing, which is so it can be reflected institutionally and be more likely to educate the entire campus community. Additionally, providing opportunities for celebration, as mentioned, of the holidays. So I'll talk a little bit more about the planning and specifically what we're thinking about a little later. Also, a big goal is to increase a sense of belonging for African-American students at WMU, with consideration, again, for those retention rates, which we know research shows that belongingness does impact, the amount of support you feel you have, in addition to other things, but that is one. And considering that we are at a predominantly white institution, thinking about how something like this could nudge us towards, of course not solve the problem, but nudge us towards that sense of belonging for African-American students. And finally, goals and rationale, I would say, is to, again, join those other lists of universities. Currently, have a working list of 42 universities across the US who have, as of summer of 2020, made revisions to include it on their academic calendar. Now, there's schools that were doing it previously, but that list focuses on students who have, schools who have made that adjustment this past summer. Okay. Now, this is just an example of what this would look like on our calendar. So one thing that we used as a template was the MLK convocation and celebration, because we wanted, again, to bring not only just a day off, but also that opportunity for students to engage, learn, and celebrate. So with the virtual teaching, this is something, actually, these are both something that's in the work. The first meeting regarding programming will happen this Friday. Actually, we have the support of Lewis Walker Institute, Office of Diversity and Inclusion, as well as student orgs, our org, as well as Black Graduate Student Association, which actually a new organization is recently reactivated on campus. So those are parties who will be meeting actually this Friday morning to begin that process of exactly what this will look like on campus. Now, the final slide, which I'm sure you all are like wondering, how can we support this? How can we get involved? So basically, signing in support, which that can look like physically emailing the RSO we sign in support of Juneteenth, or even just providing verbal consent that when we move forward, as we continue to talk about this, we can say we have the support of WSA on this initiative. Additionally, spreading the word. So the thing that it is our hope you all would help with is getting the word out there, because we do not have access to many. We're working on getting more connected and getting to know more of the student body, but we have no way to, I guess, reach everyone. So I hear that there is a WSA newsletter that I'm not sure if graduate students are included on, because to my knowledge, I'm not familiar with it, but that is one way. Just put in that one-page proposal in that, or even just a little bit of information and contact information. And potentially, if you have any representatives that are interested in being a part of this planning process for I guess for the fun stuff or just for the educational pieces, just seeing how you can support, that is another way, in addition to whatever other ways come up for you guys that you think may be helpful. And thinking of this proposal, it is kind of a two-part ask. One is more of administration making a change, but then there's also that piece about programming, what this will look like on campus, which is where our, I guess, where we as students have, I guess, a lot more control over. So I am going to stop sharing now, because that is all I have, and check to see if anyone has any, as soon as I figure out how to stop sharing, there we go. Any questions?
Senator Brian Taylor.
Hey, first of all, thank you very much for taking the time to present this to us. I do have a question. So, as we found out with some other bills that also look for days out of the calendar, once these things get to the union, things get quite narrow. Where is this day coming from? On the calendar, I'm sorry.
Like specifically what it would. So if it were to happen this year, it would actually be Friday, June 18th, since June 19th is on a Saturday. So essentially having it be treated as like 4th of July is the summer holiday. So how they treated 4th of July is on a Sunday, so we're having Monday off. So annually, that's what we're hoping for.
Okay, I mean more of they have a minimum requirement of number of days that the university has to be open. Have you had this discussion with the union, Jen?
So I have spoken with specifically the faculty union negotiations president. I was not provided specific information on how many days they have. I was provided with more so the barriers to why this wouldn't work. So I have not been provided with any specific information. I've just started to meet with Dr. Bott, which I will be following up with, I believe, next week again. Okay. So yes, I have not been given any specific.
Was that Dr. Kritzman you were referring to?
They can't.
Got it. Okay, thank you very much. With my time.
Vice President Eppinger.
Thank you. I have kind of one question that leads into another. So one is that Juneteenth is after spring semester ends. So a lot of students that go home for summer wouldn't experience being off of classes if they're not experiencing classes. So how do you plan to translate the importance of this holiday to all the students on summer break? And secondly, for students that are in classes, when we have a holiday in normal academic year, we lose 1 week's worth of education. But because summer is condensed into half the time, those students are losing 2 weeks of education by having a day off. So how do we compensate for that?
So the way I have approached that question, which I've received a few times, I approach it as, I guess, on one end, we currently do that in summer two, for example, which I understand that is a federal holiday, things like that. But we do that already in summer two. So I'm approaching it from that same lens that if this is a significant holiday, and the university believes this is a significant holiday, then that should be something that is reflected in the academic calendar, similar to any other holiday that we have on our calendar in the summer session. So for students who are not on campus, in July, students are not going to be on campus yet. It's, there. So I guess I would say more so provide the opportunity. Now, students may not be near their emails and things of that sort, but the opportunity to participate in any events. This year, we're obviously virtual will be easier, but if students are interested in participating in the celebratory part, then they will have access to that, at least this year with it being virtual. So I guess I approach it from the similar lens as how we approach it with other summer holidays.
Thank you.
Vice President Theory.
Thank you, Devin, for being here today. I appreciate this being brought up, and I think it's really important. One of my questions, and you may have already mentioned this, but when is the first planning meeting, and how can we get involved in that? And my second question is, have you reached out to or talked with, in collaboration with the provost, Nancy Mansberger, who's the director of academic labor relations, who may be able to provide you some guidance on speaking with the union?
Yes, so first question, the planning meeting will be taking place this Friday at 9 a.m. Via WebEx. And I have spoken with Nancy Mansberger. I don't really recall when. And she gave me sort of some insight on ideas of what I could do to get the word out, or providing me with the opportunity to come, I guess, present to them as well. But I have not yet followed up with her. I saw a chat come up and it distracted me. But basically, yes, to answer your question, I have.
And if folks are interested in the Friday meeting, should they reach out to you, or is that something WSA members can attend?
Yes, we are open to anyone. I'll actually put our email here in the chat. And I'll put my personal email there as well. Make sure I have no typos. And of course I do. Okay, just check in to make sure I didn't lose sound. Or are we actually silent, or did I lose sound?
Was the question answered? I don't know if did you get, because we can move on. I didn't know if we were waiting.
I'm all set.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, Senator Doris.
Okay, I was gonna say that I think it's a pretty great thing that you're doing, and that if you wanted BSU, I'm the diversity inclusion chair for the Black Student Union here on campus, and I'm sure we'd love to help and get you involved and help you reach students as well. I'd also like to state that this would help students feel a little bit more welcomed, whether or not it only affects the academic calendar for the summer semesters, but students of color will see it and be like, that's actually pretty nice, because the school stands in solidarity with students of color, and that when their ancestors had to experience things like that. And yeah, I just support it and think it's awesome. So yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And yes, I am trying to get plugged with the new leadership of BSU. I briefly chatted with Jerwan before he left. So yeah, would love to continue that relationship. Yes.
I'll send you an email.
Have we any other questions for Devin while she is here? I'm not seeing any more. So Devin, if you have anything final to say, I'd like to thank you for being here and sharing with us.
Yes, I do have a question for you all. So in terms of your WSA newsletter, I was hoping that someone can share a little bit more about that and what your thoughts are on putting something such as a one-page Juneteenth proposal in there. Well, yeah, I'll stop there.
Yeah, I can field that question if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. I'm part of the newsletter team. Unfortunately, the last issue of this academic year's version just went out today. But if you get in contact with me and I'll get in contact with you, and we can figure out things to put in for the next issue.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Sounds good.
With that, anything else from anyone? Not seeing anything else. Devin, any more questions or anything else to say?
No, I do not think so. I think that is all I have for you.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your time and what you've brought to us.
All right. Thank you all for listening.
With that said, we will move on. I see that Chief Justice Putnam Murray's here. If you'd like to give us an election update, perhaps, if you have one for us. Swing back around.
Hi, everyone. So a little update. We are having the appellate court hearing tomorrow at 7. So hopefully after that, we will have election confirmed. I will be probably gaining contact with Chris and Ruby and Kathy to figure out how we'll go about with announcing it all, considering this was kind of, this is the last Senate meeting, but we'll talk about how we're do that. But yep, tomorrow we are having the appeals hearing for the last, for the couple of demerits that we had appeals for. So hopefully after that, we will have that all confirmed. I just wanted to let you guys know and keep you guys updated and informed. So yeah, that's really kind of all that we have.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for the Chief Justice regarding the election?
I have a comment if nobody else does, but I'll give a second.
I see no questions, nor do I hear any, so your comment is free to go.
All right, cool. Good afternoon, Senators. I've had a lot of reservations before coming to you all today with this issue, but however, I believe that it's the best remedy. Since initially submitting our intent to run documentation, we have faced issues with the process. Across both slates, there was an immense amount of frustration with the Elections Promotions Committee. And I'm sorry to say that the problems of the EPC have become even more pronounced. We have reviewed the SEC and see no reason as to why this information should not be shared with you all today or should have last week. The problem I'm trying to bring to your attention today is the inequities amongst this campaign season. As we are, I know you all are upset with where elections stand today. The reason that we still don't have any election results is simply because individuals are trying to get Jesse and I disqualified. Now, I do not want to acknowledge in any way, I do want to acknowledge in any way that I'm no way accusing the opposing slate of the offense. or offenses. But to provide you all with more insight, there have been a total of 4 demerits assessed to the Right Matumbo campaign. We believe that the charges being brought against us were assessed in error, which is why we are attempting to appeal them. One line of defense that we believe is very strong is the process for assessing demerits, which was not adequately followed. We are in a situation where the Elections Promotion Committee is consistently violating the Student Election Code while trying to hold us accountable to it. The violations of the Elections Promotions Committee include not following the dates outlined in the SEC, especially the announcement of the election results, forwarding complaints to the Judicial Council for demerit assessment rather than completing it themselves. And perhaps the most egregious violation is that the EPC is not acting as a committee. They are acting solely based on the thoughts of the co-chairs. We have the SEC and other governing documents for a reason. To violate the SEC, a document by which Vice President Eagle created, is an egregious abuse of her position and shows great negligence of her duties. I urge the Senate to take steps to express your disapproval in this process, as this seems to be the only method of accountability available to us. Let me be clear, we are in no way complaining. We are just asking for fairness.
That's a lot to take in. Is there anyone, perhaps the Chief Justice, to speak in defense of themselves or the EPC?
I really can't speak for the UPC since Ruby is not here. And I really wouldn't feel comfortable speaking in defense with her without her being present.
Okay.
I know. So yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just not really comfortable. I'm sorry.
With that said, part of my constitutional duties is to enforce the bylaws and all other governing documents. In order to enforce the bylaws, that comes with 2 implied powers: one, the power of investigation, and also the power to enact certain measures once I see violations of certain governing documents. That said, because that's part of my constitutional duties, I now feel the need I need to investigate if these particular claims brought up by Executive Vice President Wright. So that said, I'll have to meet with the EPC. I'll meet with the EPC. But if what he's saying is true and our violations of the SEC, then we have a large issue. We have a large issue with someone in a non-elected position violating the rules that they have set forth in their own document. If what Vice President Wright is saying is true. So now it falls in. Now I will be investigating this issue, as that is part of my constitutional duties. Has anyone else anything to say? Great. Executive Vice President Wright, if you would please forward all of your evidence to me, I will reach out to Happy Giving Day. Sorry, that makes me laugh. Happy Giving Day, everyone. I will be reaching out to Vice President Eagle and the UPC soon. So that said, is there anything else anyone wants to say on this topic?
I have a question. Like what, I guess I just don't know. What does your investigation look like, Dakota? Like what, I guess I'm not too familiar with that process.
Well, having viewed over what my duties are in the Constitution, there is one line, 3 words that says enforce the bylaws. And so an investigation, I assume, would be to interview Ruby and ask her these questions and determine if that is true.
But like, then what do you, like
then what do I do?
No one else has any to say about the election is, I guess, where I'm a little bit confused. Like we're all just kind of in the dark. We don't really know what's going on.
Well, we can bring it in front of everyone. What do you mean?
I mean, like, how are you, like, okay, you're going to get this stuff from Jacoby, but like, we don't know we don't know. No one knows anything pretty much besides the EPC and the council. So, and the slate. So like I guess I don't know like what you're like how we're going to access this information.
I don't know either. Like, to be quite honest with you, do we subpoena it? Like, should I subpoena? Let me get.
I don't know. That's my question. I mean, I don't know.
That's fair.
I mean, you can get it from Jacoby, but
I don't know
like
either.
Yeah.
I don't know either. And the problem with this is like he's claiming this, and if it's true, like obviously the ones involved in this are the Judicial Council and the EPC, as they've been working closely, and so who investigates it, and how do we investigate it and figure out what issue is here? I'm sorry, I'm reading comments or reading the Slack. I don't know. We could bring Ruby in front of us here and like explain it, but she's the only one. She and the EPC can explain it. Do we have any members of the EPC here right now? Because I know senators and representatives can be in the EPC.
Are we able to also get clarification maybe from Jacoby about like what the accusations are? Because clearly there's like accusations, but I don't know like specifically, or if we know specifically, like I'm just confused and I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and I don't really know what questions I'm supposed to be asking right now. So
imagine.
I think we're all confused right now. So like, I think this is like it'll be a good place for like questions, but Henry, like what specifically are you requesting, like in relation to which violations?
Like what are you saying that the EPC did that they weren't supposed to do? I'm not saying that they didn't do it because I don't even know what they did or what they're being accused of or really anything.
Yeah, that's a good question. I outlined a couple of reasons, but the biggest reason is that they've forwarded. Well, there's two reasons. One, they're not issuing demerits themselves. They're forwarding all the information or evidence to the Judicial Council to assess demerits, even though you're supposed to appeal to the Judicial Council. So you can't really appeal to a person who makes the original decision. So that's fault number one, because you basically have to change their mind. And secondly, they're sending this documentation to the Judicial Council, even though this SEC says, based on the discretion of the EPC, they haven't had any communication with their fellow committee members. They've only been working unilaterally as co-chairs.
How do you know this? I mean, because last week we were told like it's a closed door process, can't disclose anything. So I guess I'm a little confused, like how, like it seems like some people know what's going on and then the rest of us don't. So I'm just trying to like, I don't know.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say that I don't agree that it's a closed door process, and I don't agree that anywhere in the SEC that it says that it has to be a closed door process. I was the candidate that received the demerits, so I feel like I should be able to tell people that I received demerits. Like I have not released the results of the election, but the demerits, we're fighting the demerits, and I don't know why that wasn't released last week, but I felt even more obliged to communicate that today.
So are there any members of the SEC sitting here today in the Senate? Because this is some heavy stuff. There are a lot of accusations here. And good points are made. How do we know? How do we know that this stuff is going on? Yes, Senator Ewing, please.
I'm pretty sure Ashley answered this in her original statement, but could you kind of reiterate like what the procedure is now and like how we're going to find out like the results? Like I'm sure I just missed that, but since like there's no more meetings, like should we move to have another meeting for that?
What do we got here?
So as soon as we have the appeals hearing tomorrow for Jacoby, we will, obviously that's when we will have everything pretty much confirmed, and I will be sending that obviously to the EPC, and I will be like kind of trying to get in contact with them, figuring out how we're gonna like, you know, bring it about to Senate. I'm honestly really sorry. This is my first time doing anything, so I'm really trying to just kind of figure out as I go along, since this is unprecedented times. I just want to make that clear to everyone that this is very unprecedented times. We have never had this situation before in WSA. And so we're just really trying to like, you know, figure it out going along. And I understand the frustrations of everyone. We are working very hard and digitally. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't get shown in front of the cameras or behind the scenes. But there are a lot of hard work on a lot of people's parts, like the EPC and my judicial counsel. So yes, as soon as we figure out, we will probably figure out some way to probably do that, whether or not it's holding a special election, a special meeting, sorry, not election meeting, something like that. That's all I really can say. I hope that helps. I'm so sorry.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate your response.
Vice President Poole, unless I missed someone before that. There's a lot going in the chat, but Vice President Poole.
I just wanted to say thank you, Ashley, for speaking. I know you're working with a lot right now, and this is a unique situation, but not to like mitigate, I guess, the importance of this and like the confusion that everyone's feeling, but because there is like other things on the agenda, and this is I feel like something that does need more time to discuss, I may want to say maybe it would be better to reach out to them privately at a later time to discuss it versus now. That way people can keep moving forward in the meeting maybe, because I'm sure more people would like to have a thorough discussion about this. So that's just a comment I would like to say.
Okay. Here's an idea. I know a lot of people are talking about transparency and we don't know what's happening behind closed doors. Is it possible then for the Senate to vote to publicize the procedures that are happening and like everything that has happened up to this point regarding the EPC and the Judicial Council and their rulings? If we could vote to make that public information so that we could all get a look at it, we could better understand what's going on. I think all of us as a whole. But I'm not sure if we can do that. Chris, would you know if we could do that? If the Senate could vote to subpoena, to use that word, the information from the deliberations that have been occurring? If Chris is even,
I can only speak in terms of historical. So this is not the first time the WSA election has been hotly contested. So this is not new to the organization. I think, again, when I mentioned last week that this is unprecedented, it's the timing, the way spring break fell. There were some scheduling things that has delayed the process. And so that's what I would describe to in terms of 2021, this election. Historically, as Ruby and Kathy have said, they have not, the decision with the Judicial Council has not been to certify the election results. They've said that was because of outstanding demerits. So once historically, once the election is certified, then that's when the full report comes out. And that's when the transparency pieces that you were talking about, Dakota, that the organization pushes for, that's when that information typically comes out. And so I would caution us in that I don't know if I agree that there are things being done secretively in terms of process and things like that. So we've had some communication problems. We've tried to the parties involved have looked to rectify those, and so I guess that would be my element in that. But specifically to the Senate is that the plan all along, the plan historically has been that once election is certified, then there's a full-on report.
Full-on report. So, but okay. So, just curious, and then I'll let Vice President Effinger have his comment. The transparency comes after decisions are made, and decisions usually are these decisions final? Like if if after the decision is made and we see the whole report and there is evidence of wrongdoing, does the decision get reversed, or do we have to now live with the wrongdoing that occurred?
I can't speak to that. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't.
Okay, because that's a bit of like, if there is, I'm not saying there is, but if wrongdoing did occur and then the decision is final and we don't know that we couldn't take a look and see if any wrongdoing did occur until after the fact. Now we're all, allowing what could be described as corrupt behavior through our system.
If I could respond to that in terms of corrupt behavior or wrongdoing, as you mentioned some of those things on that, is, again, historically, the closest thing that I could connect it to is that there's different types of, there's non-feasance, misfeasance, and malfeasance.
Mm-hmm.
That's the language that this organization has used. And malfeasance is obviously the highest amount of wrongdoing. And so in that, malfeasance for definition is intentional abuse of power, like you knew exactly what you were doing to try and get your agenda or whatever like that. That's malfeasance. And usually in situations like that, there is the organization has taken a stronger stance against that. Then there's misfeasance. So misfeasance would be you just didn't do your job appropriately. So you didn't mean to do a bad job. You just made some mistakes along the way. And then non-feasance would be you should have known that was in your job, even though it might not have been spelled out in your constitutional duties or whatever. But that's the least amount of you ran that yellow light was kind of pinkish purple.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas malfeasance was you ran the red light and you hit somebody, when you went through the intersection. So, so if that makes sense, I don't know if that's, so in terms of, again, connecting those three levels, that would be what I would advise is that once the report comes out or however you all end up going with this is to try and use that as a measuring stick of, was this malfeasance, misfeasance, or nonfeasance, and so based on that would you go from there. So
okay, then maybe corrupt was the wrong term. I was trying to look for a word, more or less. It was just a semantics issue.
No, you're good. I just wanted to break corrupt wrongdoing down further. That's all. So you're good. You're good.
And once again, I'm not saying that anyone is, or I'm not. I don't have nothing's for certain. But let me go on and say, or let me allow Vice President Effinger to have his quick comment.
Thanks. I just want to quick respond to comments about postponing discussion. I don't want to comment on the other topics at hand. If we were to postpone discussion, it is being live streamed on YouTube. So even if someone does leave the meeting, they can still come back and watch it. So we're not being lack of transparent there. Live streaming doesn't stop until a meeting's officially adjourned. So just wanted to remind everyone of that.
Thank you so much. Vice President Scheller.
Yeah, I just had a quick comment that I want to throw out there. And I mean this at some point there has to be a president of this organization. And I don't know what's happening. I don't know. I just read that demerit for chalking. I think it's very clear that what a demerit is needs to be revised. Someone can be written up for chalking in the wrong place. What even is that? And I just, it's sad to see me watch this election. I have to be real because it just seems so messy and we're all on the same team. And if we just create this mess that's all political and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, what's admin gonna think of us? And I don't know, that's just a thought. I don't mean that towards anyone. I'm watching this and I'm this is not how a good election looks. And therefore it needs reevaluation of what happened this year, regardless of who wins. After what point is it fair to push demerits? I don't know, so, right. Why are people filing them when they have a vested interest in wanting to be one person over? I don't know. I'm very confused by it all. And I hope like we can all reflect on how to make this organization's elections go smoother, because it obviously needs some work. Not just everything this year has not gone according to plan.
Of course. No, and I agree. I think it's an odd amount, not to give my opinion too much being the chair, but there's a lot of stuff you'd think you'd see in politics, out in, like out in the real world. Not that this isn't the real world, but I mean like out in the, the Michigan government and the U.S. government, stuff like that, stuff you'd see there. And for an organization that's supposed to work for the students, we're eating each other alive with this process. And I'd rather us not do that, right? I have a question in here from Senator Ewing.
So I understand that there are like the bylaws and the governing documents and everything. I'm sure that it's stated in those, but I was just wanted to ask why, like, can anybody explain why like the demerits weren't told us to begin with? Like, I understand that they're being appealed right now, but why can't we know what they are while they're being appealed? Like, why do we have to wait until it's decided?
Chief Justice Putnam Murray, would you have any insight on that? I'm not sure why we can't. She here?
Yep, sorry. I just had to unmute myself.
Okay.
So just out of, we kind of keep, I don't really actually really know the answer to, we don't make these public, and I think it probably has something to do with just trying to figure out all the information that has come in and keeping it private to just those individuals without having a lot of people knowing about it and then asking questions. That just allows for a lot of messiness and stuff. And also just for the associate justices, they're not supposed to see or get any other comments from other people. And sometimes when there are things made public, people will tend to, try to reach out and try to, get some more information. And then that way that skews things. So I think that's why we choose to keep the demerits private until they're actually confirmed, until we've actually made a ruling. The people that are only made aware of the complaints are the people who are involved, or obviously me, the judicial counsel. So that's why we choose to keep those private. It's to keep everything unbiased for us as the judicial counsel.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Miller Holcomb.
Okay, so I'm part of the EPC, the Election Promotions Committee, and I'm aware of like the demerits and everything, but I was told that I'm just not allowed to speak about it, and then I wasn't told about the process. So I was just told, here's all the claims that are happening. You can't tell anyone though, it's private, and then them, but now they go to judicial review, and that's it. So that's all I know. But I guess I have more insight than others. So I am aware of the demerits and everything. I've been told about them. And when they were submitted and stuff, I was just told that according to like all the laws and stuff, that it's like regulated and secreted, and I can't speak of it.
Okay, thank you. Now
I don't know anything. So, but I just know the demerits.
And were you, because Vice President Wright said that you were supposed to be in on the proceedings for this? Is that right, Vice President Wright or Miller Holcomb?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I was told I'm not. I was told that it goes to judicial review and they handle it, and then I was in the dark. So then it wasn't the committee, it was all the judicial.
So outside of what you were told, what else do you do in the EPC? What else do the other committee members do?
Oh, well, it's only me, Ruby, and one other. And then we just plan the elections and everything.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And then in response to Jacoby, I was told of, I think all of them. I don't know how many there are, but the first meeting there was a list. and it was read out and stuff, but it was like, these are what the claims, and a lot of them were of like the same thing, different stature. So that's all I got.
Okay.
And I yield.
Okay, thank you. Chief Justice Putnam Murray, did you have another comment, or did you get that out before?
So I saw in the chats there were some things about the first demerit that was published. I just want to say that that one was official, and it just was not posted on our social media platform for other students to know about. I do not know what the holdup on that situation is. That's something that I would obviously have to speak with Chris about, but that's the reason why that one was not made public to everyone else. And that was the only thing. I just wanted to kind of clarify that one.
Okay, thank you. So there's, from my point of view, there still seems to be, I'm still kind of confused if like the goal of the EPC, other than promoting, I guess it's in the name, Election Promotion Committee. The Vice President Wright, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I was just confirming with Senator Miller-Holcomb, and he said that he received a list of all of the demerits, and he's told me it was the first meeting after the election results, or well, sorry, after last week. So that first committee breakout was the first time he had heard anything about them. So he wasn't consulted throughout the process, and that's the real problem.
I was told that I was like initially reached out to very briefly, and then reached out to right after, like, oh, actually just scratch that. You're not supposed to know that. That's up to the judicial review and stuff. So basically, when it first happened, which was probably before the breakouts, I was told, hey, this is what's happening. What's your thoughts? And then it was like, never mind. It's not up to you. It's judicial review. Don't worry about this.
Now, was that actually last week?
No, this was a while ago. This was like right after like voting happened, or even before. It was a while. Last week it was just, there's no updates. We're still waiting on judicial review.
Okay. So no updates throughout the process. Okay. As we do have the rest of the meeting to go to, and I would love to actually have all of us, all the Senate, with the EPC here to talk about this, because I'm not feeling too confident in the EPC as of current. But then again, they are not here to defend themselves against the allegations, other than Senator Miller-Holcomb. But of course, he's not leadership, and from what I can understand, he hasn't been given everything he needs to know. Like, he hasn't been given everything he needs to know. So I will take a vote to have an emergency meeting, another meeting sometime later this week. Fair. Unless, you know what? No, we're going to keep talking about this because this is important. Let's talk about it right now. So why has it been taking so long? I know you said it. You said the demerits. How's it take so long? Like we've had 3 weeks, 4 demerits, right? That's, you could do 2 demerits in the first week. Please. I'm a little overwhelmed myself, so I do apologize, but please go ahead.
So like I said last week, I don't know if maybe this was just not listened to, because I know everyone had a lot of other questions. When all the demerits were given to us, they were also happening right before spring break, and my justices had been working all the week prior, and they chose to take a break during spring break, since there's nothing in the judicial code or in the Constitution or in the bylaws that state that we have to work through breaks.
Right, of course. So that was spring break. What about last week?
Last week, there was a lot of scheduling conflicts. Again, my associate justices are volunteers.
Of course.
So, and they had classes, and there was a lot of stuff that we had to try to conflict. And, obviously there's a lot where we have to also be in contact with the other candidates slate. And there was a lot of last minute trying to get something done that didn't work. We finally had this week. There was a mass email that was sent out by Chris to everyone trying to get everything a little bit more established. And we finally have come to an appeals. We will have that tomorrow night, like I said.
Okay, of course.
And like I said, I apologize for the delay. There is a lot of things. Again, like I said, this is unprecedented times. It's also online. So a lot of things just take a little bit more time than they would if this was in person, because we would be in the Bernhardt Center banging these out. I'm telling you that right now. But since this is online, there's a lot of scheduling, a lot of conflicts, and everyone is busy. We are also students. So I'm again very sorry, and I've been trying to hastily work on this because I am trying to do the best for the organization as well, but I can only do so much with everyone's schedules.
Of course, I certainly wasn't trying to imply that we weren't busy or anything like that. Yeah, Vice President Evinger, you can read a passage from the SEC.
Thanks. Perhaps this will also give insight into why this is taking so long. This is Article 7, Section 4. It says that upon receiving a complaint, EPC is tasked with reviewing documentation provided by complaints and following up with any documented witnesses in order to determine legitimacy in accordance with the SEC. And then it goes on to say that if a complaint has If a complaint has a merit of violation of the SEC, the EPC will be tasked with furnishing a report of the preponderance of the evidence to be presented to the Judicial Council, which will be sent to all pertinent parties. Then it says the Judicial Council will investigate a complaint and take statements from both parties. Then it says they can decide to make a ruling or to further investigate through a trial through prosecution by the complaint. And then if a candidate is found to be in violation with campaign rules of the SEC, a demerit may be issued by a majority vote of the Judicial Council. That is in the SEC as agreed upon and voted on by this governing body. So there was a process, and it takes a while for anything to happen.
Interesting. Okay. Vice President Wright, that seems to contradict what you've said. Do you have something to say in response?
Yeah, to counter that, the student election code lists in the document 10 times that demerits are to be assessed at the discretion of the EPC. 10 times it says that in the document. You can search it, and it says it once that they're supposed to be furnished to the Judicial Council. So right off the bat, there's a lot of contradiction in this document, and we've seen that. Also, last year, the Elections Promotion Committee had the ability to assess demerits directly. So what changed? I don't believe that was presented as part of the changes that were made to the student election code this year.
Can I just ask a quick question of Vice President Wright, because I'm not sure on this either. So maybe he has insight into this. In the SEC, I'm reading specifically from the complaint section. So when somebody submits complaint, when the EPC issues a demerit, is that for things that are listed outside of when someone issues a complaint, things that they see and can act on themselves?
I don't have the document pulled up right now, but I can look.
I can get it. I can find it. Sweet Jesus. Amended. Right. Where are we going to?
Just got it pulled up if you want me to share it.
Oh,
you got it.
Where are we going to? Again?
Article 7 speaks specifically to complaints, but if Vice President Wright is mentioning other things, maybe, I don't know, campaign violations or whatever, if it's in that section, if it says in there that the EPC can administer one, I'm just trying to figure out who can do what in what jurisdiction.
Vice President Wright, do you want to go somewhere else?
Article 3, section 1, subsection J.
3, section 1, subsection J, right here. I'll read it aloud, I guess. All candidates shall be responsible for reviewing and understanding the SEC. Candidates are responsible for presenting issues of confusion or contention to the EPC before taking action that may be determined to be in violation of the SEC. Any candidate or agent thereof found to have committed an action in violation of the SEC is subject to one demerit at the discretion of the EPC. Is that where you wanted to go?
Yeah, that's just one of the times, but it does not specify that it has to be other than a complaint. It says any violation of the student election code.
Okay. So are we finding ourselves at a point where we see the student election code to be contradicting itself because it's saying one thing and then saying another? Or as Vice President Effinger said, should this particular instance be referring to something else? Will it be sitting in silence? Please, you may ask a question, please.
So I just have a question, kind of just about, just this in general. I understand that this is a very important conversation, but since this is a lot of questions that are directed towards the EPC themselves, shouldn't it be more fair to be able to have the people that are part of the SEC and the EPC, I'm sorry, there's a lot of acronyms being thrown around today, here to be able to answer some of these questions? I feel as though this is not exactly a very fair, not fair, but not like
Of course.
Just because I feel like if the EPC was here, they would be able to answer some of these kind of very hard-hitting questions that a lot of people are seeming to have, and I just feel like that should be maybe something we should take consideration.
Yeah, of course, of course, you're not wrong. You aren't wrong. You aren't wrong. We should have them here. I'm reading the chat. Well, that said, she is right. The EPC should be able to, the chair and co-chair of the EPC would be able to answer these questions more effectively than us right now. So I'm gonna make a motion, or I will entertain a motion to vote on having another meeting at another time with the EPC, all of the Senate who want to be there with the EPC. Would anyone like to motion that?
Motion to have another meeting, including the Senate and the House and the EPC.
Second.
Do we have consent? Take consent on this.
Consent.
Second.
Opposition? Hearing none, seeing none, a meeting with the House, Senate, and the EPC will occur when one can be scheduled. I will send out an email to them to figure that out. With that said, we'll move on with the agenda and table this for then. Thank you all, everyone, for your comments. Before we move on, I'd like to, of course, remind everyone that we are, in fact, friends, or at least putting on the illusion of it. Some of us, we are, in fact, I have no hard feelings towards, of course, I don't know who I'd have hard feelings towards during all this, but at the end of the day, we're all students who are working together to better other students. And like Vice President Moore said, no illusion, we are friends. Senator Ewing, everyone in the chat has got the right idea down. So with that said, we'll move into committee breakouts for 5 minutes, if possible, because we have a lot to get to.
Before we go into committee breakouts, this is just an idea I had. If a senator would like to make this motion, this is unrelated to everything we've been talking about. But because it is Giving Day still, and we've all been hard at work getting those donations in, If any of the committees have important things to meet about, that's totally fine. I know for my committee and some of the other members of cabinet, we kind of agreed, we don't really have much to talk about. So we thought it would be cool to do just like a Giving Day push as a whole group. So if a senator agrees with that and wants to make that motion, that'd be really cool. Again, if you guys have important things to meet about, please still meet about those things. That's totally good. But I know like my committee and a few others, we're kind of done for the year. We don't really have more things to work on, especially with it being the last meeting. So I'll just throw that out there.
Motion. Yeah, motion to replace the committee breakouts with Giving Day celebration thing.
Is there a second?
Second.
Cool. Consent.
Consent.
Opposition. Hearing and seeing none, committee breakouts are now Giving Day celebration sharing. So we'll just be doing that, so no need to leave.
Yeah, so what I was thinking is like, since we're all here and we all have this time, maybe it'd be cool if like everybody committed to text like 5 people that they know who haven't donated yet, and shoot them a text and just say, hey, it's Giving Day still for WMU. Those graphics, everything is super easy to find on Instagram. So if you want to look at any of that and spread the information, I have not been the ringleader of this whole thing. So if somebody who has been more central wants to speak about it, I invite them to do it. I just know so many of you guys have been doing a really good job today. And as an organization, I was going to look it up. The last time I checked, we were over 2,000, but I'm sure it's more now. So I was going to look it up just to give everyone like a status update, unless someone else has it. But please speak up, members of the people who coordinated this, to kind of hype everyone up, because I just want to say great job to all of you. I'm so impressed, and I think we've been getting donations from so many different people. We've been in the top 3 of groups getting donations all day long. So we have a lot to be proud of as a group. And I just think this is a good time for us all to come together and really make that push so that we can make our social justice fund as big of a reality as we've all been hoping to this year.
Mr. Speaker. Oh, well, Vice President Lance just threw it in the chat.
I don't see it.
$2,522.
Oh.
A total 49 donors. Super exciting. There are some posts on LinkedIn if you guys want to copy those and reshare. I know I posted on my LinkedIn, Vice President Barada, and some other people might have. So if you want to look for that and repost, that would be great as well.
I also have some tweets up. I don't know. I feel like we tend to miss out on Twitter if people want to hit Twitter, but send it from your personal page. It's going to mean more than like retweeting something I said. No one knows who I am, but like personal reach outs are going to be the best way to do it. So if you have like family members, your grandma, your great aunt, whoever it might be, who have like an extra $5 sitting around that they might want to contribute, now's the time to send them a text. If any of you guys have like, made a donation today, or maybe you got someone cool to donate, it'd be cool to share that right now. I don't know, I'm just trying to hype everybody up because, again, I'm really, really proud of what everyone has done today. We have been consistently winning those challenges. I think that's a lot to be proud of.
Yeah, I was actually just going to announce that. So we did, WSA Cabinet did pitch in last night, donating at like 11:59, 12 o'clock to try to be one of the first people to get their funds started off on Giving Day. And we actually were in the list twice. So shout out to us. We won an additional $500 for that. So add an additional 500. So we're over 3,000 total with the awards. And then also, we've been pushing out a lot of stuff and had a lot of efforts done throughout lunchtime, crunch time. And we were also top 3 for that. So we got an additional $1,000 for that. So sounds like 4K to me. So it sounded like we need to just keep winning these challenges. We just posted, so hopefully they pick our photo for an additional 1,000. There's some time between 6 to 8 if you want to like go on your socials and share like your best moment at WMU. I think you win $1,000 if they pick your best moment. So, try to tug on the heartstrings. That'll probably get them to pick you. And then from 10 p.m. to 11:59, the top 10 with the most unique donors get an additional, well, it's a ranking. So the first place gets an additional 2,000. So we'll be shooting for first place. I guess I'll settle for second place, but I really don't want to. So we're really gonna need all of your support. I plan on posting it on Facebook like later because I know people are on Facebook around those hours or any social media. So, but I know Facebook be popping later when adults are off work because young people don't use Facebook. And then lastly, the final buzzer, I think, is what the competition's called. But the last person to donate, like at 11:59, that like they get to select a fund for an additional $1,000. So I know cabinet's already planned on giving around 11:59 again. But if any of you guys are interested in partaking in that, like even just $1, I guess you could donate a penny. But I mean, anything to be the last donor, that would be really, really awesome. So thanks for all your hard work and all everybody's been putting into this.
Yeah, I'm just going to emphasize one last time. Literally, all you got to do is donate $1 to like get us more money. Just $1. Like that's pocket change, right? Like go in there, do this thing and get us an extra $1,000. There's like, I don't know, a number of us here. So yeah, I believe in you.
We've been getting a lot of recognition from Advancement. They've been watching us all day and are really impressed and really psyched for us, the people who came in to present that one day. So we're impressing a lot of people like we've been doing all year. I told you we're some hustlers. So I really appreciate all of you harassing your people. But we still got a couple more hours to go, so let's make the most of it.
Ooh, a final piece of thing that I will throw out. This is something that I've been trying to include in my post today, and I think it's something really cool to be proud of, is there's really not a lot of funds through Giving Day. I'm not going to say there's no others because I don't know, but there's not a lot of funds for Giving Day that are for students and by students. A lot of these funds are run through the university, through professors, or through different institutions with the university, but we're pretty unique in having a student run fund that for people to donate to, where we are like, putting these funds directly into things that students have brought up and that students believe in. So on that piece alone, like, I think that's a good way to get other students to donate, is to know that, like, this isn't just like some big pot of money where nobody knows where it's going to go. Like, if these people join WSA, or for those of you who are going to continue to be in WSA, like, you can control where this money goes. You can literally concretely see the difference that it will make. And a lot of these funds, like if you're just throwing it to the WMU fund, I have no idea where that money is going. It might be going to like paint the sidewalk or whatever. Paint the sidewalk was a bad example, but like paint walls in the residence halls or something, like just really not essential things. Time is expired, but thanks you guys for all the work you've done today. Really proud of everyone who organized this.
Thank you all. With that done, committee breakouts are over. We're gonna move right into the allocation bylaw revisions because those need to get done. So Vice President Lance, you are up.
Shoot, I kind of forgot this. My time. All right, let me pull it up. Yeah, so basically, hey guys, what's going on? Basically, it was brought to my attention that the allocations bylaws are not reflective of the bicameral legislature system that we implemented last year. And then when I went in to change that, I noticed that the websites were all the old website, so I changed those too. So there's really nothing that's like very contentious that we have to deliberate on. There's just basically those two things, changing the the system to reflect a bicameral legislature, and then changing the websites. So we'll go through that here, and you can see all of the edits that I made, and this document was approved by the House last week. Not that that should influence your vote, but just for full transparency. And then the only thing that I will add, that's not part of it. There's nothing in there. The only thing that I will add is this part right here, I feel is really important. That basically changes the way that committee members are elected. So because we now do have a bicameral legislature system, the way that I wanted to implement it was that committee members are elected in their respective chambers. So instead of having to go through both the Senate and the House, you can just be elected in your respective chamber. And then the two cab positions that don't sit on either of the chambers will be elected in the Senate. So that's it, short and simple, and we can move into discussion now. Thanks.
Questions? Senator Busal Chetri would like to know if there was a chance, if we want to change the 40% cap on food for WSA funded events, what should be that procedure? So he basically wants to know how would we be able to he wants to know how to edit how we would amend this in future, like how if senators could amend this in the future.
Yeah, you can propose an amendment to it. It has to go through both chambers. But I guess really the procedure would be to propose an amendment to the future allocations commissioner, and then they would present it to the legislature. But I will add that I remember a couple of years ago, some of the capping was being deliberated upon very contentiously, I will say, and it created it created a bit of a delay in getting the bylaws approved. So just know that you know, it's when you start to talk about money, people have very differing opinions. But
any other questions? We debated t-shirts. That's funny. Seeing no more questions, we can move into discussion. Does anyone have any discussion points? Seeing none, hearing none. This could be consent, couldn't it? We're not dealing with, we're dealing with a document about money, but yeah. I'll call consent. Would anyone like to call consent? Anyone want to call consent on this? I will accept it. Worry not.
Consent.
Thank you. Second? Somewhere? Only need the one person. Go ahead. Second it up.
Point of order, consent does not require a second, only a lack of opposition.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Look at me not knowing what to do. All right. Opposition. Hearing none, seeing none, we'll consider this passed by consent. With that, there's a read-only. Let me go back to sharing my screen. So thank you, Vice President Lance. That is passed. That will go into, we have a read-only for faculty diversity and inclusion training. That's for next week. Please read, do I have a chat thing? Please read that over for next week. No announcements. Notes from the senators. Any notes? Hearing none, seeing none. Any notes from cabinet? Okay, Senator Ewing, go ahead.
I did my second forum on what day was it? Monday? Yeah, it was Monday. And last time, my first forum only got I think there were 6 people there, but this one I had 17 people plus me, so 18 people were there. So I was very excited.
That's awesome. That's really good to hear. I'm very happy to hear that.
And it was virtual. It was on WebEx. So I think that's kind of impressive that I got 17 people to show up.
Good job. Like really good job. Ralph, great. That's awesome to hear. Anyone else? That's really good. Anyone else got notes from the senators? Anything else? Hearing none, seeing none. Okay, notes from cabinet. Vice President Wright.
Yeah, I was actually just gonna shout out Senator Ewing. So congrats. I didn't even know the number, but congrats on holding another successful forum.
Awesome.
Other update. I'm pretty pumped for next week. I hope you guys are pretty pumped for next week. And be getting some swag in the mail. So keep an eye out. Excited to celebrate the end of the year with y'all.
Awesome. Anyone else? Okay, with that, I will take a motion to adjourn at 5:31.
Motion to adjourn at 5:31.
Second.
Second.
Any opposition? Hearing none, seeing none, you all.
Point of order, consent was not called.
All right, consent.
Consent.
Thank you. Opposition? Hearing none, seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you all for coming to the